I spent a few weeks getting up to speed on retail real estate in some of Europe's most important cities. I talked with a lot of people on the ground, including Tjard Martinus. Now, he told me that retailers in Europe are feeling pretty good.
This is the first time in a long time where we are sort of very excited to talk about retail again in Europe, in the direction of the market. And there are a lot of signals out there that point in a positive way.
Tjard leads retail research for JLL in Europe, and he's my go-to expert for European stats and trends.
The reason why we are so upbeat about European retail is that if you think back over the period 2008 and 2000 to 2019, the physical retail market was impacted quite severely by the rise of online retail sales. We've now gone through a period of the COVID disruption, whereby a lot of the retail spending went online. And then we had a period of high inflation, which increased the operational costs for a lot of operators. The consequence of this now is that there's a greater emphasis on becoming more profitable, delivering a profitable retail model. And this means that we're now finally, after many years of stagnant sales, physical retail sales to pick up again between 3 to 4% a year. The second part of this is also that there are more retailers that very much believe that there is going to be growing need for better service, better experience. And some retailers that you could pick out are, for example, sports brands retailers who believe there will be a growing need for helping people find the right products and showing them what there is. And some of them have announced very ambitious store expansion plans going forward, are investing in their physical stores again. And I think there's a growing realization that there's still a lot of value in physical retail space.
So there are retailers opening new stores in Europe. We've got digital native brands, local brands, and retailers coming in from other countries. So how do retailers that are just entering the market go about deciding where to go? That is a question I put to Josefine Ulrich, who is a director of EMEA Retail Leasing at JLL.
If we look into Europe, well, that's more than 40 countries, different markets, and of course, a different setup, a different structure. So when retailers come to Europe, they often enter the continent through the UK. And the UK is a great example. If you think of the UK, then you think of London, of course, and you open a store there, or maybe two, the market is big enough. And then you have quite of a presence, an established presence in the UK. And the same might work for France. You open a store in Paris, you have your footprint in that country. But then we look into Italy, and in Italy, you do have, of course, a key market, Milan, but also Rome is a well-known city. And then Spain awaits retailers with at least two cities, which is Madrid and Barcelona. And then you look into Germany, and that is where it becomes difficult. Germany has a very polycentric structure, so you have to consider at least 7 cities within this one country to build up a brand awareness in the market. So it's challenging, but also offering great opportunities.
From where I sit here in the US, tackling the European market can feel complicated to say the least. So today we're going to try to simplify it for you. This week we're taking a retail real estate tour with stops in Munich, Berlin, Paris, Milan, Madrid, and Barcelona. You're listening to Where We Buy. It's the show where we talk with retail experts and we visit the places where we buy. My name is James Cook. I research retail and real estate for JLL. Today's episode features a number of highlights from full-length interviews that I've conducted. If you want to see videos of the entire interviews, head on over to LinkedIn. We've posted all of the videos on the JLL Retail LinkedIn page. So let's talk a little bit more about locations. Obviously, we've got high street locations, which I think are much more prevalent in Europe than they are in the US. You've got enclosed malls, and then you've got open shopping centers.
You're well informed. Yes, the main focus or the main retail happens on high streets and the key markets. But again, if you look into Eastern European countries, then shopping centers have a higher importance than in some of the other countries, of course. But then if you, for example, look into Poland, then currently we see retail parks. So I think you in the US call them the big box retail spaces, are currently high on demand for both, for retailers, but also for investors. So it's different from country to country. And of course, also, I think the weather and climate aspect plays into that.
For the European retail city profiles, which we have recently launched, we looked at where the key international retailers who operate globally have their stores across the various cities. And looking at the top 7 cities in Europe, what we found is that if you classify the locations, around 50% of them are located on high street locations, and 50% of them are located within shopping centers. And if you take Paris, for example, a lot of the retail within the inner city is located around the high street areas, but around the periphery, we have a lot of very dominant shopping centers that also appeal to local shoppers. So both formats are very important across the key European cities.
In some countries, shoppers like shopping centers. Others, they like to shop on the street. Now, Germany comes down in that second group. At least they do in Munich. According to Aniko Korsos, head of retail leasing in Germany for JLL.
You have to say Germany is not really the shopping center country. Our customer prefer to go into the city on the street. So the streets are more important than shopping centers. Berlin, there we have a lot of shopping centers. It's the city of shopping centers in Germany, if you can say it. But Munich, there is no inner city shopping center which is relevant. The city center is the most important. The highest frequented street is the Kaufingerstraße, the main consuming street, which is together with Cologne and Zeil. Every year, the 3 of the streets have the highest frequency. And then we have like the Maximilianstraße, which is the luxury area in Munich, the luxury street. And in between, we have some interesting things like Theatinerstraße, Weinstraße, where you have a mix of consuming and luxury.
How would you describe the current retail landscape, we'll say in Germany, or if you want to talk about specific markets, go ahead. I'll leave it up to you to direct the focus.
Yeah, the specialty in Germany we have compared to other countries, that not only the capital city is of interest, we have top 5, or if we see it in the wider page, we have top 7 cities to consider for a company coming to Germany. Berlin is the capital, and it's very important to go there. But economically seen, the most interested city in Germany is Munich, in the south of Germany, because we have the highest purchasing power there and the highest traffic. Every retailer who comes to Germany, if he decides to go into 2 cities, he will go to Munich and Berlin. And the top 5 cities are also Hamburg and Düsseldorf and Frankfurt to consider to go. And if you want to expand, you should consider all the cities.
Berlin is kind of the name that everybody knows, but it sounds like there's more spending power in Munich. Is that because there's more business and industry there?
Yes, Bavaria is a very rich region in Germany, and Munich is a very interesting city as of industry and also because of the living area there. You have the south with Italy, it's very nearby, and it's really industrial. The car industry is there very strong, and that's why it's a very rich city.
Of the types of retailers that are expanding and opening multiple new locations in Germany, what types of retail are you seeing that's expanding right now?
Maybe Moritz can take this.
Yes, thanks.
And this is Moritz Scharbatke. He leads retail for Northeast Germany at JLL.
Speaking about Berlin, this year we saw mainly textile retailers. So it was the big clothing companies who had the biggest share of space turnover in the market. And I think that's also generally speaking, compare that to the German results as well, or to the German numbers. Everything that goes along with clothing, also shoe concepts. The sneaker business is big in Berlin. We saw several brands opening concepts like those.
And not only international companies entering the market, also companies who are already on the market, they decided to move or to expand. A big retailer who expanded very much was the Inditex Group. They opened with new concepts also here, and they have leased a lot.
For most folks that aren't familiar, Inditex is Spanish, multinational. So their biggest brand is Zara, right? I don't know why I was blanking on that. So in addition to Zara, what are some of the other brands?
Yeah, I would drop the name of the bestseller group coming from the Scandinavian countries and operating like it's a multi-brand group which operates several retail concepts in the high streets of Germany. So they've been expanding a lot as well. One of our biggest German textile brands is the clothing company C&A. They also restarted their expansion activities, as well as the Spanish brand Mango, for example. They reactivated their activities because they've already been into the German market, and now they started expanding again. And maybe also to name another international brand more known to the European countries, I guess, is TK Maxx. They've also been quite active, and we saw some new locations from them.
And I'll just have to put in that we have TK Maxx in North America, but here it's called TJ Maxx.
Yeah.
Because I don't. There's some legal reason behind they had to change the J to a K. I don't know why, but yes. So we've got a number of expanding retailers right now in Germany. Are they struggling to find space? What are vacancies like?
Yeah, when I start with Munich, it's very challenging to find space in the locations or in the areas you want to be, because we have definitely more demand than vacancies. Of course, you can find space, but it can take a long time. Some clients come to us and I say, we just want to start in Munich, and we're only searching Munich for the first store. And then we always recommend consider also the other cities to go to and to search parallel, because Munich, you need patience and you need time and a lot of money. So just don't focus on one city, go with the other cities parallel.
To continue answering that question for the local market of Berlin, being a city that not only has one relevant retail market, but we count in total, we count around 7 high streets in Berlin, which is special amongst German cities. That is to say, from an historical view, you can divide the city into an eastern and a western part. And within those two markets, we have high streets and city centers where people go shopping. For example, the western part of Berlin used to be more or still is the more kind of well-established part, where you have international relevance, high footfall and higher purchasing power compared to the eastern part of the city. But the eastern part is more characterized by youngsters, hip, international crowd, expats who are working in, especially more in the eastern part of the city of Berlin, where I would say the kind of the .com industry, for example, and the media and culture scene is more present. So that also influences the brand environment, or the environment of how people live and what they shop for. Young, fashionable, hip labels more tend to go to the eastern part of the city, whereas international brands who aim for a location in a mass market position, they would more target for the western part of the city.
Are you seeing a lot of expansion from restaurant chains?
Yeah, we have a lot of demand for restaurants, a lot. But the vacancies are difficult because there are rare vacancies, and to convert retail space into a gastronomy space is difficult. And second, we have some troubles regarding employees and staff for restaurants. It's challenging for restaurants to get the space and then to open and to run the space, but the demand is high. And what we have seen, the people are spending a lot for restaurants. Even if they have to save, they go out for eating.
Now, another country with limited restaurant space available for lease is Spain. That's what I heard when I talked to Antonio Sanchez-Moliní in Madrid. Antonio is the head of retail leasing in Spain for JLL.
And if we talk a little bit about restaurants or F&B, what we have seen in Spain is that we have different zones that you cannot get a new license for F&B, because the F&B licenses are restricted, and a number of licenses that you can have depending on the number of people that lives in an area. So there are some areas of the city that you cannot get a license for F&B, unless you decided to rent a place that has previously already get the license. So you need to look for specifically those kind of spaces.
And so this is a license to operate a restaurant?
Yeah, it's a license for having an exhaust. The problem here is for the exhaust.
Oh,
Because the exhaust is normally in the back part of the buildings. You have to think that in the cities here in Spain are the construction in the city center and in these areas that we are talking is 5, 6, 8, 6 floors. And you need to create an exhaust in a patio, which is the area that you have in the middle of the buildings that go between all the windows that the people who is living there, and you have some smells and things like that. If you don't have previously a license with the exhaust done, it's very difficult to get a new one.
How would you describe, like, what is the current retail landscape like?
I think that the best way of describing the landscape for starting is to have a clear overview of what is going on in Spain at the moment. Because right now in Spain, we are talking that we are the second country in the world that are receiving tourism. It's a very attractive location for the retailers. In Spain, we have welcomed in 2023 more than 85 million tourists. So it's a very big number of tourists, and they spend more than 1,000 million euros in different retail. So it's very, very important market for the retailers in this case. Having said that, we have two big cities, Madrid and Barcelona. Traditionally, Barcelona, it's been always the first location in the country. It's been the typical city selected by the retailers to land in Spain. However, the situation is shifting a little bit because Madrid has been able to position the city as a very attractive city for a lot of foreigners. The reason of that is a low level of taxes, very secure city, and a lot of freedom in the possibility of signing the leases and being able to the retailers to come. Additionally, we also have been able in Madrid to bring a lot of high quality tourism that is looking for experiences and looking for museums, luxury shopping. So Madrid has positioned itself as a luxury city, but at an affordable price, which makes a great offer for the retailers. In the other side, we have Barcelona that keeps following the same pace that has always been having, but is a city that has a more mass market tourism. So consequently, the brands are shifting a little bit the selection of one city from another when they are deciding to come to Spain. 5 years ago, we were talking about like between 65 or 70% of the new entrants in the market for the retailers, they decided to go to Barcelona. Right now, the situation is landing between 50%, split to equal parts between the two cities. So Madrid has made a great job position in the city, and Barcelona is still doing a great job receiving tourism and showing the world a lot of beautiful things that the city has.
Let's talk first about Madrid, and then we'll talk about Barcelona. Okay. What are the top shopping streets, the top destination shopping streets in each city?
Okay, what we see is we have Gran Via as a mass market main area, where all the mass market brands are there, very focused on getting tourism. And we have also Serrano. Serrano is positioned itself as high-end. I don't want to say luxury because there are luxury brands there that we all know them. Like, I don't know, we have Prada, we have Rabat, any brand that you can think that want to be in Spain should be in Serrano if they are high-end. But also we have Ortega y Gasset, which is the luxury street, the traditional luxury street where all the brands want to be in the past. But Serrano is shifting and increasing the level of the tenants that they have at the moment. The percentage of the vacancy that we have in Serrano right now is 1%. So we have no vacancy. Barcelona is a smaller market. Barcelona, the expansion is limited, and the streets that we have for the brands are fewer than Madrid. So we are seeing again the same situation. We are seeing the tenants looking for new places to get in, but the vacancy level is very, very low.
Can you speak a little bit to where new brands are opening right now?
Yeah, sure. Let's speak a little bit about Barcelona. Barcelona has no new streets to introduce new brands. So what is going on? The situation is like the municipality has decided to remove the road traffic and the cars from part of the streets that are joining. In Barcelona, the main street is Paseo de Gracia. And in the parallel, the next street parallel to that one is Rambla Catalunya, and they have decided to remove the cars in some of the streets between the two biggest streets. So what is going on? Those streets that they decided to remove the traffic are receiving more tenants that want to be in the area but couldn't afford to be or in Rambla Catalunya or in Paseo de Gracia, or maybe even they can afford. They have no space because there is no vacancy to be there. So what is going on is like we are seeing some streets like Rosselló or maybe Consell de Cent that are joining these two streets, Paseo de Gracia and Rambla Catalunya, that are receiving more tenants and new tenants that are introducing in the market. We have seen a lot of new openings in Barcelona. For example, we helped Onitsuka Tiger enter in the market in Barcelona because they are going to Paseo de Gracia this year. We have also helped Bexley, a French brand, to enter the market in Barcelona, in Rambla Catalunya. So there are opportunities if you are in the right moment, and the brands can get those opportunities. If we talk about Madrid, the situation is a little bit different because the city is bigger and we have more areas to expand the retail. We have very well positioned one neighborhood that is called Justicia, which is very close to Gran Via and to Chamberí, which are different parts of the city. But it's a neighborhood with three main streets: Fernando VI, Calle Barquillo, and Bárbara de Braganza, they are all together, and they are changing a little bit the image of the neighborhood. It's a very classic neighborhood with very high-end homes, and the people who live there, it's very high-end. But the retail that was in that part of the city was very local at like 2 years ago, and suddenly the brands have seen that they cannot go to any other places of the city, or they want to try something new trends, what is going on with a new line of products. And it's like a new neighborhood that is changing a lot. And it's very attractive for the brands because if we talk about figures, Serrano, we are talking about footfall of 20,000 pedestrians per day, more or less. And if we go to Justicia and Calle Barquillo, we are talking about 12,000. But if we talk about rents, what we have seen is the rent in Serrano is around 250 euros per square meter per month. And here we are talking about 65 euros per square meter per month. So having a footfall of more than half of Serrano, you are going to pay a rent that is going to be 5 times lower. So the situation is very interesting for the brands, but the vacancy is very low and the premises are small.
Do you find that the brands from the UK, from Latin America, are they the ones from Germany? Are they the ones that want to try to open up stores in Spain?
The truth is that we see a lot of appetite from all the world brands to come to the market because people see the potential, the level of tourism, the level of expenditure that they are making, and they are also seeing that the level of rents is much lower than Oxford Street or Champs-Élysées. So we have a great opportunity here for the brands to come to a decent level of rent if we compare to the most expensive cities, or New York, or or London, or Paris. If we compare to Madrid and Barcelona, our rents are tighter. Every year we have conversations with new brands that want to come to the country. So I don't want to say that specifically the UK brands are coming, or because what we have seen is that from all parts of the world are coming.
Now, we've been talking a lot about tourism. We can talk a little bit too about the actual Spanish consumer.
Okay.
Is the Spanish consumer shopping habits distinctly different? I mean, when you have to educate a foreign brand on how the Spanish shop, are there new things you have to teach them?
Yeah, I think that the Spanish market is a little bit different, because there is one thing that is very important, and sometimes we need to remember to the brands, and it's like we are the house or the country of Inditex. I mean, Bershka, Lefties, are Massimo Dutti, are brands that has been here. The born of the brand, it's been here in one small part of Spain, and we also have Mango. So there are really big brands, and is a local brand. So when we see some brands that are coming here and want to compete, sometimes they forget that is the hometown of this brand. So it's important for them to know that in this case, the best thing to do is to see what they are doing, because what they are doing is working really well, and Spain is the test country for different concepts. We are seeing now Mango Teen working really nicely in Spain, opening a lot of stores, but they are only in Spain at the moment. I assume that they are going to do it across the world later. We have important brands competing in the market with local prices, and it's good to see what they are doing. And they have to think that normally the places where the locals are buying is not the same as the tourists are buying. So Gran Via or Serrano or Paseo de Gracia are more frequent by tourism, and the type of sales that they are going to do is different from the ones that they are going to do in the shopping malls, which is you are going to have more local presence and different type of bots.
You've got to remind people, hey, you're in Zara or Thara country now.
Yes.
So you got to watch out.
It's not to watch out, but it's difficult to change the mindset of the people that is living here, because they know the brand for a long time. They know the brand is working really well. They like the product. They like the quality. So if you come with something very different, could be working really nicely, but they could also not work. So just keep it in mind that take a look over these big players like Mango or Zara and think about how they are doing things in Spain if you want to sell at least fashion.
Next, I want to move from Spain to France. I talked to Benjamin Boccara. He's the head of retail leasing for JLL in Paris. And I was curious to find out what the impact of the Summer Olympics had been on the retail scene in Paris.
Just after the pandemic, we had some fresh retail spaces coming back to the market. But within the last 3 years before the Olympics, a lot of brands decided to go for Paris. And more specifically, when we're talking about 62,000 retail spaces in Paris, only 10% of this stock is located in the central shopping district, which means in the district in which you are eligible to open 7 days a week, in which you have what we call the international touristic zones. So if you check, 6,000 emplacement is not such a big playground for the brands. And they decided to anticipate very, very strongly in advance before the Olympic to acquire new position. As a result, as we speak today, in this main shopping destination, the stock is very low. We're talking about few persons only.
This is an interesting point that I don't think I was aware of. There are only designated touristic zones that if you're outside of that zone, does that mean you have to close on certain days of the week? You have to keep to shorter hours? What does that mean?
Well, you can open. I mean, the opening hours during the weekdays and the Saturday are free. It's up to you. There's some local regulation, but more or less it's quite easy, flexible. For the rest of Paris, when we're talking about the Sunday, which is a very strong day for activity, only inside this international touristic zone, you can open all Sundays during the year. For the others, you're eligible to open up to 10 Sundays only upon Paris mayor authorization. So it's a big game changer because, first of all, this is where all the tourists are concentrated, a lot of hotels, a lot of nice shopping areas. And so it's very important for them to be where the shopping is happening, and especially on the Sunday.
Yeah. I mean, that's 10 Sundays a year. That's not very many. So.
And you have to, usually you get an authorization when it's the Mother's Day or the Valentine's Days or the Christmas days, or sometime during the discount, the sales period.
Are there other regulations like that retailers, international retailers coming from outside of the country should be aware of, or that you have to educate them on when they're coming into
Each market is specific. So first of all, and it's very clear for everybody, Paris is very historical city. You have a lot of listed buildings. So it's not like super easy to go through all the bureaucratic process. And I'm not saying that against them, because they are much about protecting the patrimony of Paris. But it takes to a very dedicated architect and also to understand the local buyers in what they expect in terms of retail. So when you intend to open in Paris, you have to count approximately 5 to 6 months. We just finalized the deal with Onitsuka Tiger on the Champs-Élysées, and before they can open, they have to deliver a full information on the work they intend to perform in the premises, because this retail space is inside a monument, a listed monument in Paris. So they will go through it's a sure thing, but it's taking a while because there is a lot of people involved in the process.
What new retailers have opened in the past year? Where are they opening? Kind of give us a sense of the latest activity.
Actually, in Paris, when we're talking about the activity, we can take into consideration what happened after the pandemic, and also anticipating the Olympics. A lot of brands targeting with success the territory. When we're checking, for instance, the Champs-Élysées, they are coming in mass with not less than 32 signatures. So 32 retailers arriving. So it's approximately a third of the global stock of the avenue. Can you imagine that? And I can name few of them. You have GD Sports, IWC, Panerai, Adidas, which decided to relocate, Onitsuka Tiger, we mentioned earlier, Salomon, On Running, DLC, and Canada Goose just recently. Also in the Marais, following this same athletic chic trend, Arc'teryx, Salomon, Naked Copenhagen, Birkenstock, Stasi, New Balance. We have a lot. Also, Madeleine Opéra is a really strong district in which we had a lot of newcomers, Façonnable, Alpine Cars, EcoSports, a newcomer also in the area, Cupra, also for the electric cars, and more in the more residential area, which is also very strong in demand. We have Passy in the 16th district with very niche brands with Longchamp, Chanel Cosmetics, Fouquet for the chocolate, Frédéric Malle for the fragrance, Max Mara for clothes. It's very much women-oriented.
So what makes the Parisian shopper unique?
It's a difficult question because I'm mostly dealing with Parisian and I'm one of them. One thing is for sure, when I listen to retailers, they want to offer a really strong level of experience. So instead of opening 1,000 stores, they want to have and to cover an area in which they provide a good level of service with what we call a flagship, with a very good welcoming, with nice store design, with all the product typology under the same roof. And Parisians are very demanding. And I think consumers are more demanding today. We all have Instagram, we all have Facebook, we have tons of solicitation. So Parisians are very sensitive to that. They love new concept. Not to mention it's the city of fashion. And so retail trends are just like fashion. You have up and downs, you have trends. For instance, everybody wants to consume bio, or you have suddenly a brand that is making a very new and good model of sneaker, a new emerging brand. And everybody's looking for new brands and to differentiate themselves or to choose a brand according to their core values. There was like a message, not a political message, but they want to understand the brand itself, its core message. I could mention, for instance, this brand we're opening in Paris in a very few weeks. It's called Unsaid. They're from India and they are the leaders in Diamond Laboratory Diamonds. And the whole message for this new jewelry brand is about the diamond production. It's not about escaping the diamond from the earth, but producing them by a machine that is itself fueled by solar panels. So it's all about the ecology. And everybody's looking at this brand, and it's going to be like a big moment for them in Paris soon, because city of fashion, city also of luxury. It's going to be really important for Parisian people to discover an alternative to overconsume diamonds.
Well, I love doing these shows because I get to learn something. I need to go learn about Unset now. So you said they're from India?
They're from India. And the mother company is one of the leader in the lab diamond production. They produce for many other brands. Very interesting example of what we did. They are followed by JLL in India first. So we had a connection between both countries. And when they decided to arrive in Paris, they were really about Rue de la Paix. It was a really strong destination for jewelry in Paris. That's one of the main destinations for eye jewelry and watches, just like Place Vendôme.
What street was that? Say that again.
It's called the Rue de la Paix. De la Paix.
Okay, got it.
Peace Street. Peace Street.
Peace
Yeah,
Street.
it's very peaceful, actually. It's really pleasant to walk around. And they first intending to go in Rue de la Paix, where all the other brands are already installed for decades. And then we finally found a small mansion just at the corner of the street. So it's just at the corner of Rue de la Paix. And then this was giving exactly what the brand wanted. A small building, but a private mansion. And it's not, how can I say, diluted, lost in the middle of all the existing historical brands. They are a newcomer. They have a new message for consumers. They want it to be where the jewelry market is, but not located in the center of all the others. So they have their specific and dedicated place in which we understand exactly what the building is and what is the message. Everything is in line.
That's beautiful. I'm so glad we talked about this.
Yeah.
I love that story. That's so interesting. Well, we have time for one last stop on our virtual retail European vacation. We're meeting up with Teresa Iacomino in Milan, Italy. Now, unlike Paris, Milan has flown a little bit more under the retail radar in the past. But Teresa, who is Director of Retailer Occupier Services with JLL, explained to me how that is changing.
In the past, Milan was not. It is not the most famous city in terms of tourism in Italy. You have Florence, you have Rome, you have Naples, Venice. But in the last years, Milan is starting to become a touristic destination, not just for the art, which is amazing anyway, but also for this component about, the fashion soul of the city, the design aura that it is a constant all around. So we have registered in 2023 the highest number ever with over 8.5 million of visitors, of tourists. And 2024 is going to close with an increase of 10%. So if we add this, the low vacancy, the tourism that it is increasing, and the fact that Milan is going to host with Cortina the Winter Olympics in 2026, we have the perception that the numbers are keep increasing in nearby future. So this is a good moment to start looking to avoid, to pay even more in the nearby future.
Let's talk about the local consumer. Is there anything about the habits of the shopper in either Italy or specifically in Milan that you think are different?
I mean, the fact that Italians love to do shopping on site. They love to live the experience. If you come to Italy on a Monday and you come to Milan on a Monday, James, all the suburban lines, all the undergrounds are crowded. People get out, people go to the office, people spend times at open air. We have this habit to use our free time, like our lunchtime, to do shopping or to spend our time there. And I have to say that Milan keeps remaining a very retail attractive city. Also, and especially about the fact that it is also a wealth city where people love to spend, and the conversion of every store remains attractive to potential newcomers.
So would you say that Italians are less likely to shop online than maybe shoppers in other countries?
Well, I would say that it is not in our DNA. We do it when it's necessary. But if we have the time, we use our free time. Italians are used to live the experience, to touch the materials, to see how certain things is in a certain package. We love the full experience. It's something that has always been representative of us. It is our way to explore our places. We do it on foot. And it's also one of the reasons that has supported Milan into expanding in terms of retail destination. The fact that people walks by gives to the retailer the certainty that someone is going to intercept their store, even if they think a little bit outside of the box and they choose a location which is not the usual one, the one that everybody is going to look daily, like in Corso Vittorio Emanuele or in Via Torino. What makes Milan unique in terms of attraction for retail is it's all about being a city that has always been really into fashion and design, and the fact that it is a city with a high presence of people that lives the city daily. You look to the city as it is, you will notice that the retail destination, the business area, the touristic path are all in the same place. Historically, the Duomo CBD has been the place for everything. It's all around the cathedral. It's all around the most iconic touristic attraction. And the city has expanded around this area in time. And we are seeing something new in the last 4 years after, COVID visited us. And what we are seeing is the fact that the interest remain high from retailers to open a flagship or open a second, a third, and a fourth store in the city.
Is there a street or a number of streets that are the sort of the high streets, the most popular places for retail?
Well, if you are a retailer active in the high fashion industry, you need to be, and you're looking for a location for sure into the Golden Triangle of Fashion or at the Galleria Vittorio Emanuele, which are the two main locations for high fashion luxury brands. If you are in the need to be recognized, to make a statement, you will probably go in Corso Vittorio Emanuele or in Via Torino or even in Via Dante, but you are going to stay in the surrounding of the Duomo area. Otherwise, if you are in the design business, you are going to look for a location in the Brera district, which is still in the city center, but it is a little bit through the north, and it is the path that now connects the two main CBDs of the city. If you are a cutting-edge new brand that is going to look for attract a young customer, you will probably go for a place in Corso Garibaldi or maybe in the surrounding of the Porta Nuova district.
What retailers or types of retailers have opened new locations or are opening soon?
Well, what we have noticed, and I think this is a European trend, it is that sportswear is having a huge moment right now. They are opening widely. We, especially in Italy, we were really stiff about how we had to dress to go to work. But now, after COVID, we are able to be a little bit more informal. So it's starting to be normal to wear sneakers under a suit and maybe to wear a t-shirt under your jacket. And this has brought the sportswear to become a real conversation into the fashion industry. And a lot of retailers operating in this segment are opening stores. We have seen how Nike with Jordan World of Air has chosen Milan for an opening, but also how On, the Swiss brand of running shoes, has chosen Milan quite recently.
That's so interesting that how COVID affected the consumer. And I think we definitely had that here where I live in the United States, but we were already very casual. I think before COVID, it just made us even more casual. Are there, on the best shopping streets, are there vacancies? Are there places for brands to lease right now?
Wow. If you are looking for the, the easy choice, if you want to be in Corso Vittorio Emanuele or you want to be in Via Monte Napoleone, the answer is, sadly, for us and for the tenant looking for it, no. But what we are noticing is the fact that tenants are starting to think outside of the box, and we are trying to advise them in how to. If we are able to see today how the city is expanding, also in terms of retail, it's thanks to those retailers that are starting to think outside of the box, and they are starting evaluating also locations that are not directly into the most famous streets. This is definitely changing the conversation. And for those that are willing to evaluate different opportunities, maybe in secondary street or in connection path, for them. So if we are speaking about, the most famous street, the answer sadly is no. But if you look outside of the box, there are opportunities, and they could be, something to transform a tenant into a trendsetter in a certain way.
Well, here's something I wanted to ask you about food and beverage.
Yeah.
Are there many chains, F&B chains, that are looking to open new locations in Milan, or is it more local restaurants, do you think?
Well, as you know, when you come to Italy, we are famous for three things: fashion, art, and food. So we are quite strongly attached to our culinary heritage. So all the brands that comes to Italy from abroad, international chains, always find, a little bit of complexity. But the truth is that people keep experimenting. And even if we have very strong national chain, but also we have very well-frequented and always full local restaurant, we have started to see how international retailers operating in the food and beverage sector are looking at Italy, are opening in Italy, are experimenting in Italy. So it is a process that has started, and a lot of them are coming. It is complicated if they are specialized. They are, for example, from another country and they are specialized in Italian cuisine. Let me say, on that we are quite competitive, but we love ethnic cuisine, Asia, South American. So yeah, it is a process that has started, and we are seeing more and more brands coming to the market.
And that concludes our virtual retail tour of Europe. Let's return safely to our homes now. What cities did we miss? What shopping streets did we miss? Where is your brand looking to open new locations in Europe? You can message me on LinkedIn. Just search for James Cook JLL and connect with me, and we can communicate. If you want to see the full video versions of each of these interviews, head on over to the JLL retail page on LinkedIn. There's a full series of live streams that we posted in October and November. So just go to LinkedIn and search for JLL Retail. If you like this podcast, do me a favor, go into the app that you're listening to and give us a rating. Or even better, give us a little review, right? Just a sentence about what you like about the show. You can subscribe to Where We Buy on the iPhone podcast app, on Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Or you can always find us on the web at wherewebuy.show. Our theme music is Run in the Night by the Good Lords under Creative Commons license.
And so Berlin, it's a nice city to explore culture and shopping, but also to explore nightlife and going out. And that's what people always used to love in the city, and that what serves the demands of people's needs to show cool new concepts.
Yeah, I mean, I think Berlin nightclubs are sort of globally known, right? I hear about people who...
Correct.
Go ahead.
Yeah, there's one that is listed in the top clubs worldwide, and that's why we have a...
Is it Wareheim? Is that...
Yeah, it starts with a B, but you're well informed.
Bergheim. I heard a podcast about it.
Correct.
Yeah,
and Lady Gaga was having their after party, for example, there, and it's a special place and also part of the vibrant cultural scene of the city. Yeah.
Sounds like a fascinating place. I don't think they would ever let me in, though.
Let me know when you're in the city. We gladly try together.
Okay. I need probably some black leather, though, right?
You're well informed, James. But maybe
you will find it.
Correct. First, I take you to the right places to shop your outfit, and then we go for party.